folks, it's John DeHart, your Keto Sensei, coming at you from Sandy, Utah. Today I want to go through the Native program and how to use the Keto OS product in conjunction with the Native diet for maximum results in weight loss and body transformation. Before I get started, I want to read you this legal disclaimer. I, John DeHart, am not a doctor or medical practitioner. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This video is not designed to and does not provide medical advice. Any information you receive is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. And as always, make sure you see your physician or medical practitioner before starting any weight loss program. So with that, let's jump right in. I think the place to start is really, what is keto adapted? You hear a lot about becoming keto adapted, and really, what is that? And folks, it's really very simple. Once you're keto adapted, your body is now burning fat, turning fat into ketones as its primary source of energy, as opposed to sugar or glucose. And typically, if you're on SAD, the standard American diet, you are a sugar burner and you don't have a lot of access to burning ketones. So what we want to do is get you ketone adapted, where your primary source of energy, your primary source of fuel for your body are ketones. And ketones that are coming from either the Keto OS product or the conversion of body fat into ketones for maximum energy. So I'll tell you what, guys, once you make this transition and get keto adapted, you're going to feel fantastic. Inflammation's going to go away. It's almost like a euphoric feeling. So let's jump right in and go into really step one in becoming keto adapted. So the first thing we want to do is we want to start with the OS product. And I recommend starting with a half serving twice a day. So breaking that up. I love the charge product in the morning because it's caffeinated. And then right before I go to bed, I love the other OS product that's not charged, the decaffeinated. I love having ketones running through my body at night. There's something magical about having that happen. So that's how I personally recommend it. You may want to do it a little bit differently, but start out for the first 2, 3, 4, 5 days with half servings and work up to it. Otherwise, you might have a little gastrointestinal distress, and that's no fun. So just start out easy and work your way up. The other thing that I want you to do is I want you to go to Keto 8. www.keto, Keto, the number 8.com. And what I want you to do is to fill out those fields there, join part of our community, and I'm going to send you some things to get you on your way on this weight loss journey, this body transformation journey. I'm going to send you some documents, how to calculate your BMI, your body mass index, how many macros you should be having every day, how much fat, how much protein, how much carbohydrate, depending on what your goals are. I'm going to send you a measurement chart so that we can keep track of your measurements along with your weight. Like I said, as much as this is about weight loss, it is also about body transformation. And that's the beauty of this program, is that you're going to see your body transform. You're going to hold on to your lean muscle mass, whereas most diets, especially low-calorie diets, the weight loss that you have, normally about half of that is lean muscle. What they found with the ketogenic diet is that you preserve or even build your lean muscle mass as you're losing body fat. So it literally is body transformation. So go there. And then, the other thing that we're really going to look into is, how do we cut your carbohydrates and start to increase your fat and make your body really a fat burner. That is the key point. And I love this OS product because I need you to follow me here. Becoming keto adapted is not as easy as just flipping a switch, right? There's a period of time that it takes, and that time varies depending on you, depending on the amount of metabolic syndrome that your body may have and how insulin resistant you are, you type 2 diabetic. There's a lot of factors that go into this. But understand this, when you cut your carbohydrates back and you increase your fats, your body is still a sugar burner, right? You're still burning glucose as your primary energy. It's going to pull that glucose or the glycogen out of your muscles, and it's going to burn that for energy for a day or 2 days or 3 days or however long it takes to burn that up, right? And then there's not going to be any more. And so your body's going to start to transition into becoming a fat burner, but it doesn't happen automatically. So you're in kind of this no man's land, right? You don't have sugar to burn, and you're not efficiently burning up your own body fat, turning it into ketones for energy. You're in this no man's land. They call it the keto flu. It has actually got a name. It's called the keto flu. And what I love about the OS product is it helps to bridge that gap of the keto flu, so that you're putting ketones directly into your bloodstream. Within an hour, this product is putting ketones, beta hydroxybutyrate, directly into your bloodstream, and you can start burning that for energy. It is a fantastic product to get the job done with that. So remember, start small, about a half a serving twice a day, and work up to 2 full servings a day. I love morning and then at night right before I go to bed, but use it the way that you feel most comfortable and what works for you. The second thing we want to do as we start on this is we really want to increase our water intake, okay? The body's going to be flushing. We're going to be burning up body fat. There's going to be toxins in that body fat that are going through the kidneys, that are going through the liver. We want to be flushing the body. So it's recommended a half ounce of water per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you need at least 100 ounces of water every single day. If you're working hard, or if you're working out hard and sweating, you're going to need more than that. Just straight up, you're going to need more. I do a lot of hot yoga. I drink well over a gallon of water every single day. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to increase your salt consumption. And when I say salt, I'm not talking about table salt here. Your typical iodized salt. I want you using a really, really good salt, Himalayan pink salt, your sea salts that are out there. I like real salt. It's mined here in Utah. It's a full salt. It's got minerals in it along with a high level of sodium, and it's just really, really good. Most keto experts that I've consulted with recommend that you have 3 to 5 grams of salt every day. And it's really simple why. Your liver needs salt in order to convert fat into ketones. If you don't have enough salt, you're gonna kill your weight loss, you're gonna plateau, you're gonna stop. So you need to be increasing your salt intake. Another great way of getting salt is actually in a pill. There's a company out or a product out. It's called Keto Salt. I think you can find it at ketosalt.com or just Google Keto Salt. And you can actually, they're about 1 gram pills. So I actually take anywhere from 3 to 5 of those a day because I'm doing a lot of sweating, I'm burning up a lot of minerals, and I want to make sure that my body is efficiently able to convert fat to ketones for energy. So that's the second thing that you want to do. The third thing that you really want to do, and this is where the rubber meets the road, folks. This particular diet, the ketogenic diet, becoming keto adapted, is really all about insulin control. Okay, we don't want to spike our insulin because as soon as we cause an insulin surge, we bring in a lot of sugar or carbohydrates, it's going to cause a high insulin spike. As soon as that happens, your body flips the switch and goes into fat storing mode. Anything it can't burn up, it stores as fat. And so this is really all about insulin control. So we want to eliminate refined sugars altogether. So any of your sweets, your refined sugars, we want to eliminate those. You see a picture of Coca-Cola and Tropicana up there. Those are both 16-ounce bottles. And I challenge people and say, you know, from a strictly weight loss perspective, which of these two products is worse for you? And you might be surprised which one is actually worse for you, because that bottle, that 16-ounce bottle of Coca-Cola, has 52 grams of sugar. Can you believe that? And it's a 16-ounce serving. You know, that's a lot of sugar. It's a lot more than you need in any particular day. It's going to throw you right out of ketosis. If you're in ketosis, it's going to throw you right into fat storing mode and a lot of other things that go along with that. But we've got the orange juice sitting right next to it, right? Well, it only has 28 grams of sugar. per 8 ounces, or excuse me, 29 grams of sugar per 8 ounces. It has, in that same 16-ounce bottle, 58 grams of sugar. There's no fiber. There's nothing to slow it down. It almost immediately reacts in the bloodstream, sends your insulin through the roof, right? If somebody's having a diabetic attack or some sort of seizure, what do? They hand them orange juice. Why? Lots of sugar, right? And so that's what calms them down. I remember The Godfather Part 3. But anyway, so we want to eliminate fruit juices, soft drinks, anything that's got sugar in it. And folks, understand this. We really do have to start reading the labels. If we want to keep our body in a fat-burning state and be keto adapted, you've got to read the labels, because about 80% of the products that you find in your grocery store are going to have added sugar to them. So we've got to look at our carbs, and we'll get into how many carbs you should be having a little bit later in this, but start looking at the labels. One more thing too. Understand, it's all about insulin control, and you're going to hear a term out there called the glycemic index. The glycemic index is how much raise in insulin does a certain product cause. So fat has no glycemic index, 0 on the glycemic index. It doesn't raise your insulin at all. Protein, believe it or not, can raise your insulin, and certainly carbohydrates raise your insulin a lot, and refined carbohydrates spike it completely. So it's really, we want to look at the glycemic index. Understand this. Some of you out there look at the back of a Diet Coke and you say, man, this is really, really good for me because there's no calories. We're not counting calories here. It's all about insulin control, right? And so that Diet Coke that is filled with aspartame, some of you would know it as NutraSweet, or it's filled with sucralose, which some of you would know the trade name is Splenda, is going to cause an immediate insulin spike. Not going to be good, going to send your body right into fat storing. Diet sodas are not good for you anymore. Sports drinks are not good for you. Good old-fashioned water, carbonated water that's flavored is really good. Some of the LaCroix out there, that's good stuff because there's no sweetener in there. But teas, coffees, that's what you want to stick to when you're looking at things to drink. And of course, good old agua, H2O, water, flush that system. How much? At least 1/2 ounce per pound of body weight, okay? So I think we covered the sugar pretty well, but there's another form of sugar that we've got to talk about. And folks, these are processed grains. You know, I grew up pretty close to a farm in Indiana. We grew up out in the country, and I can just tell you this. Wheat back then, and even when I was a teenager, over 5 foot tall, wheat was about head high. Today, wheat is about 18 inches. It's short, it's fat, it's wide, it's a food-like substance. It's nothing. It's been genetically modified so badly that it's nothing like the wheat that you and I grew up with as kids. And folks, once we process that, any of the flours, the wheats, the corns, whatever it may be, understand what we've just done, soy, we have processed the fiber right out of it. And so that bread that you're eating, that pasta that you're eating, literally takes about 2 to 3 minutes for your body to convert that very quickly right into what? Into sugar. So we want to eliminate all flours, all chips, all pastas, all those things as well. We want our carbohydrate source coming from green leafy vegetables, from vegetables. That should be our carbohydrate source. The rule of thumb with vegetables is this: if they're grown above ground, corn being the exception, a couple others, but for the most part, if they're grown above ground, they're good. If they're grown below ground, not so good. Things like potatoes are going to have high starch, high sugar contents in them. Obviously, your beets, your onions, things that are grown under the ground, not so good. Things above ground, squash, spinach, green leafy vegetables, kale, whatever it may be, very, very good. Now, let's talk a little bit about fruit. And here's my thoughts on fruit after really being on a ketogenic diet for a year. Fruit is nature's candy. And I've heard several experts out there say, short of vitamin C, not a lot of nutritional value for really what you're getting. We don't want to be juicing, that's for sure. If you have to have fruit, you just feel like you've got to have it, stick with the berries, the raspberries, the blackberries, the strawberries. Those seeds are fiber. It's going to slow down the glycemic impact on your system. It's going to slow down the rise of insulin. But really, if you can eliminate it altogether, eliminate it. Understand, to your body, sugar is sugar. It does not matter whether it's a tablespoon you're pouring, does not matter if it's Coca-Cola, does not matter if it's pasta that your body breaks down into sugar in just a few minutes. To your body, sugar is sugar, and it's all going to have the same effect. It's going to spike your insulin. It's going to throw your body into a fat storing mode. So eliminate your fruits as much as possible. All your grains, definitely go with green leafy vegetables, vegetables, and you're going to be in a safe zone. So what can you eat, right? Fat, right? Healthy fats. And here's the thing. We've got to change our definition of what a healthy fat is. And I'm going to give you just a little bit of history here on where this whole idea that saturated fat is bad for you. By the way, that's been disproved, and we'll get into that another time. But there's certainly ample evidence out there right now that saturated fat is not the demon we once thought it was. As a matter of fact, coconut oil, which is 100% saturated fat, is probably the most healthy oil that you can possibly use. Your body needs cholesterol. Cholesterol is so important to your body that nearly every cell in your body can make its own cholesterol. And so healthy fats are all fats with the exception of trans fats and processed vegetable oils. That's what we want to stay away from. No corn oil, no vegetable oil, no processed oils. Eat real butter, don't eat margarine. These are healthy fats, along with, your avocados, your nuts, your seeds. Eggs are fantastic. They just came off the endangered species list. And now, what I've been saying for the last 15 years, it's one of the healthiest foods that we can possibly eat, has been proven to be absolutely true. Cholesterol does not cause heart disease. And all of that, by the way, I'm going to give a little history on this. All of that started with a guy by the name of Ansel Keys. And he was a researcher back in the 50s. Not going to go into a ton of detail on it. You'll see it someplace else out there. I'll put another piece out on it. But anyway, he was known as the father of the lipid hypothesis, which basically says that cholesterol causes heart disease. If you eat saturated fat, it has cholesterol, therefore you're clogging up your arteries, and that's what's causing heart disease. And he had originally 22 countries that he had studied that he used as data points in this theory, and he threw 16 of those countries out because they did not match his hypothesis. He kept 6 of the 22 and threw out countries that had very high fat, high saturated fat diets and had a very low instance of heart disease, and countries that had very low saturated fat diets and had a very high instance of heart disease. He threw those out because they didn't match his hypothesis, and for that degree of scientific integrity, he got his face on the cover of Time magazine. It set into motion this whole fat-free era that we saw in the 80s. It started the food pyramid that said you should have 6 to 11 healthy servings of grains every day. Folks, I'm going to tell you straight up, that is a myth. There's no such thing as 6 to 11 healthy servings of grain every day. It will send you into insulin resistance. It will turn you into a type 2 diabetic. It will give you metabolic syndrome and many other diseases that stem from metabolic syndrome. So all of it was really set up as really not being true. False research. And we set in motion really this and unleashed on the American population just this food pyramid that has set us up to be fat. You saw my video. It's not your fault you're fat. Here's why I say that. It's because it's not. You've been given bad information. That food pyramid, that has 6 to 11 healthy servings of grains every day and about this much fat in your diet is a setup for disaster. We need to be on a high-fat diet. These are some great fats. Let me cover a couple other things. We want to be eating as much as possible organic and grass-fed, especially when it comes to dairy. We want grass-fed dairy. So that's grass-fed butter, that's grass-fed cream, that's grass-fed beef. Something magical about a cow that actually eats what it was supposed to eat which is grass, and it's going to set you up on a much better diet. It's going to improve the higher levels of CLA, much lower levels of omega-6, which of the omega fatty acids is not the good one, and the one that causes the most inflammation in your body. So we want to eliminate that. So grass-fed organic is as much as you possibly can. And I want to cover something with you here because it's more expensive to eat that way, okay? So 2 thoughts on that. Number 1, build your Pruvit business, right? So you've got money coming in to afford better food. Number 2, here's what I will promise you. You will eat less food on this native program. Your body, once you start eating healthy fats, it sends a signal to your brain. Your body is more satiated. You're just going to eat a lot less food, a lot less frequently, and you're still going to feel terrific. So you're going to shift your budget around because I can promise you, if you're on SAD, the standard American diet, you are probably hungry every 2 to 3 hours and eating or snacking on something because you're going from a sugar high to a sugar crash, and your body's saying, feed me, I need that high again, and it is a vicious, vicious cycle. Folks, once you break that cycle, you got good fats coming into your body feels satiated, you're not nearly as hungry, you eat less food, but you're eating a lot better food. Eat in a way that supports your body. Don't be scared of fat. Don't be scared of saturated fat. And one of these a great way to start off in the morning, by the way, is what they've got listed here as keto coffee. It's how I start every day. Some of you would know it as bulletproof coffee. I'm going to take a teaspoon of either coconut or MCT oil. MCT stands for mid-chain triglyceride. I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it in the blender along with a teaspoon of butter, and I'm going to put in about 12 ounces of coffee, and I'm going to blend it all up, and it will make you the best cappuccino you've ever had in your entire life. It's going to make you feel full, satiated. It's going to start your body off correctly. Now, one more point to this too, and we're kind of going in reverse here, but chances are you ate your last meal the night before about 6 o'clock. So when I get up that next morning and I just have my coffee with my keto coffee with coconut MCT oil and butter, look for Kerrygold butter. It's grass-fed butter. It's an Irish butter. It's delicious. Set it side by side to American butter. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It's bright yellow. It's yummy. I mean, it just tastes different. It's so good. So look for Kerrygold. But when I have that, understand all I've had is fat. I have not broken my fast. And one of the principles with the native diet and the ketogenic diet is what's called intermittent fasting. It's going a period of 15 to 18 hours without eating, okay? Without eating protein or carbohydrates that are going to cause a spike in your insulin. That's when you're in the fat burning zone, folks. That's when your body's using fat, converting it to ketones for energy. So you want to stay in that zone. So by using the bulletproof or the keto coffee and not having your first meal until 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you've now went 17, 18, 19 hours without eating. That is perfect for your intermittent fasting. Absolutely perfect. And you're going to notice a huge difference in your body. It's going to let your body heal. It's going to let the inflammation go away. Your body's not going to have to work as hard. And most important, it's going to be burning fat, turning fat into ketones. Make sure you have your salt into ketones for your energy. And when you bring in that coconut oil and that butter, it's going to convert that right away. Just more energy. It's just going to ramp it up. So that's the first thing. The second then is we want to have our main meal, like I said, between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. I call it brunch. And brunch should be the largest meal of the day for you. Okay? We've all heard before, and so much of this diet, guys, is really having to unravel some of the stuff that we've been told about diet and weight loss, right? Here's a couple of really good ones, right? It's your fault you're fat. You just need to eat less and exercise more. That's a lie. You know, on this diet, you're actually probably going to eat more and exercise a little less. And trust me, it burns up body fat. You know, we've been told a calorie is a calorie. That's not true. You know, a calorie of sugar is way different. 9 calories of sugar is way different than 9 calories of butter. You know, way different. in what it does and how it reacts in your body and what it does in your body. So that's absolutely not true. We've been told that breakfast is the important meal, the most important meal of the day. That's not true either, right? As a matter of fact, we want to intermittent fast right through breakfast. Have your keto coffee. And by the way, if you don't drink coffee, use tea. And remember, you can always use the Keto OS product too right then. So, and get ketones right into your bloodstream. So there's some things we can do to stay on that intermittent fast, to stay in the fat burning zone. That's what you want to do. And so lunch, brunch becomes your largest meal of the day. Here's the thing. Eat. All right, this is not a calorie-restricted diet. I want you to eat fat, a lot of it. So butter, meats, all the things that you saw. And we want to take a look at our macros. How much fat are we bringing in? How much protein are we bringing in? We don't want to bring in too much protein, and we want to limit our carbohydrates. Now, the recommendation on the Native program and getting into the Native zone is really 100 grams of carbohydrates a day. I don't like that. I'll just be honest with you. I think it's too much. I don't think you will ever, as a matter of fact, I'm 99.999% sure, unless you are an ultra elite athlete, you will never see ketosis with 100 grams of carbohydrates in your diet. So if you notice, if you want to go to the keto life, down at the bottom of this slide, you see that it modifies it. And so you see the beginners and the athletes where you're about 10% of your calories are coming from carbohydrates. And so let's say you're on a 1,600 calorie diet. That means 160 or 40 grams of carbohydrates, or 40 grams of carbohydrates are your max carbohydrates for the day. Folks, I really recommend cutting that to under 20 grams of carbohydrates. Go keto. It may not be for you right away. You may need to start and kind of ease into it. That's okay. But I'm telling you, as soon as your body cuts the corner, as soon as you make that quantum leap into being keto adapted, everything will change for you. Your energy level will go through the roof. Just out of the blue, you're going to get up and say, I need to vacuum the house. You're going to have energy like you've never had energy before. It is almost miraculous. And if I sound like I'm on a soapbox, it's because I am. It completely has changed my life. So go keto. Don't be afraid of it. You remember, your biggest meal of the day is going to be brunch. Eat, eat, eat. And then as we go into dinner, see how you are. Here's what I want you to do, though. At least space out 4 hours between when you ended your brunch and when you eat your dinner. So I need a 4-hour gap there at least. 5's better, 6 even better. And if you want to start your fasting, if you want to use the OS product and just use that as a dinner and maybe a little bit of fat to go along with it, that's fantastic. And now we're really getting into that whole intermittent fasting thing, and you're going to be burning it up. Remember, we're not depriving ourselves of calories. You're getting plenty of calories in. You're not on a starvation diet. Your body's getting what it needs. It doesn't shut down, right? It just keeps burning and burning fat. So we want to bring in a sufficient amount of fat grams so that your body doesn't think that it's deprived. So again, go to Keto 8 so you can determine your macros, how much you should be having every day to maximize your native zone diet experience. And then finally, guys, we want to get moving, right? And so we want to exercise. And let me say this. If we roll the clock back 2,000, 3,000 years, we look at our real native state and how did we live? Understand, the evolutionary process takes a while, and it's just recently that we decided that, bringing in 1,000 calories of pure carbohydrates and sugar was a good thing, and look at the havoc that it's wreaked on our health, right? So if we roll that clock back and we say, okay, how did we used to live? Well, let's look at it. We used to eat a lot of meat and a lot of fat, okay? That was a primary part of our diet, right? That's how we survived. We were in ketosis. That's how we survived as a species. So what did we do as a species? Well, I'm going to recommend a couple of things. Number one, I'm going to recommend you walk a lot. And you look at our primal, and there's a good book out called The Primal Blueprint. One of the things that we did is we walked everywhere we went, right? That was our mode of transportation, so we walked a lot. And sometimes we ran, and we ran really, really fast. Why? Because we were either being chased or chasing. And sometimes we lifted really, really heavy. Okay? Why? Because we had to pick something up or we had to climb a tree to get out of harm's way or whatever it may have been, but we were lifting. So let's go through these principles. Three types, if we look at longevity, what all of the docs tell us today for longevity is we really need to be doing three things. Number one, we need to be walking. Walk, walk, walk. That's going to help the cardiovascular system. And believe it or not, I believe walking is better than running, or hiking is better than running with the ketogenic diet. We're keeping our heart rate down in that 60 to 70% range of max. So we're not throwing our body off to a place that we really don't want it to go, where our body shuts down and actually slows down the metabolism. Walking speeds that up. It puts us in the fat burning state, in the fat burning mode, and it burns the most fat. So walking, if you're hiking, I live in the mountains, so we love to hike in the mountains. That's perfect. Number two, stretch, okay? This is about longevity. This is about feeling good. So if you can get into some yoga or just start stretching, get your body moving and flexible again. We sit so much during the day. We have lower back problems, right? We got knee problems, joint problems. Start stretching. That's number two for good health. And then number three, as we look at our workouts, we want to look at what's called HIIT, high intensity interval training. High intensity interval training. I call it HIIT training. And I love it. It's high intensity. And so look that up. There's some programs that you can find out there. And basically what it is it's interval training. And you can do it if you're walking, then sprint for 30 seconds, and then walk for 30 seconds, then sprint for 30 seconds, then walk. Your interval training. If you're lifting, you can do it lifting. You can do it doing push-ups, or you can put yourself on some sort of circuit. It's not hard to set up a circuit in your house. Push-ups one place, planks the next place, sit-ups the next place. You can set yourself up on a circuit of high-intensity interval training. That's what's best for the body in the workout zone. And then finally, folks, I want to say this one more time. Stay connected, okay? Go to Keto 8 so we can connect with you, keto8.com. And remember this, okay? As we look at this ketogenic diet, it's really, I'm going to say this about diet and exercise. To me, it's the 80-20 rule. And truthfully, it's probably the 95-5 rule. And so if you want to lose weight, truly, weight loss comes around 95% of it is what you are eating and when you are eating. That's the biggest piece. Exercise is a small piece of that, okay? If you're not going to exercise, and we as a society are not going to exercise our way out of the obesity problem, that's not going to happen. We've got to change the foods we eat, and we've got to change how we eat, right? And I think Thomas Edison said it best when he said, the doctor of the future will no longer treat the human frame with drugs, but rather cure, he used the C word, cure, and prevent disease with nutrition. Eat good food, eat real food, and it says it best on this slide over here. Don't eat crap. Juice and soda are just sugar. Choose real food. Choose life, folks. A healthy life. Keto OS with the Prüvit program. Transition, use that product, the OS product, to transition through the keto flu and get your body into a ketone burning state, and then stay in that keto state using the OS product. It's a great product to help you stay in ketosis and then adapt the keto lifestyle with what you eat, a high fat, medium protein, and low carbohydrate diet. That's what it is. 80-15-5. 80% of the calories come from fat, 15 from protein, 5 from carbohydrate. Adapt that diet, get keto adapted, and guys, I will see you around. It's an incredible journey. Keep me updated on your progress. It's been amazing for me over this last year, and your progress will be the same. Just stick with it. Understand, nobody's perfect. If you have a bad day, you have some carbs, it's not the end of the world. Just go back to it, right? I mean, you get do-overs all the time, but primarily stay in that type of eating program, the native state, get in the native zone, and watch good things happen. John DeHart, your Keto Sensei, thanks for being with me.